Hello and welcome to Education Scotland's The Pedagogy podcast. I'm your host, Bex Ewart, and I will be leading us through some really interesting conversations around about pedagogy with a really wide and broad spectrum of educational professionals, children and young people. This podcast came about as a response to the OECD report, which found that in order to improve the quality of outcomes for our children, practitioners and teachers need to be supported to explore their own pedagogy and their practice through a pedagogical lens. Unsurprisingly, in the early years, it's been a focus, and so there's a lot of research and policy documents and research papers around about the subject of pedagogy. But as we move through the school stages and into secondary school and further education, that reference to pedagogy drops off. We'll be talking to a whole host of educational professionals from the early years through primary, young children and people from various different stages in their education, and then right into further education, exploring pedagogy, what it means to different people, and what we might change and what we might challenge ourselves around to ensure that our education meets the needs of our children and young people as we move into an exciting but unknown future. Following on from our last episode where we heard from Marnie Ferguson, we're now going to hear from some of her children at Torphichen and Westfield Primary Schools. Welcome everybody here to this conversation. Thank you very much for talking to me. And these young people are going to talk to us about their experiences of the school and what they think education should be like in general. So first of all, guys, can we go around the table and you can introduce yourselves?
Hi, my name is Finlay and I'm 11. My name is Oliver and I'm also 11.
My name is Callum and I'm also 11.
My name's Callum and I'm 8.
My name's Maris and I'm also 11.
My name's Isla and I'm 9.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so the first question is a big one. What makes really brilliant learning and teaching for you?
Like giving the chance of freedom to do other stuff in different spaces, not just sitting down and doing some work is much easier.
Yeah, the teachers also put out provocations around different spaces to try and entice and inspire you to work in that space or do like a project based on that space.
Okay.
I think good learning is where we all get to help choose what we learn, and even if it's something that the teachers have chose for us, it's something that they know we'll be interested in.
Yeah, and we also get to choose some projects on like our passions and interests and who we want to work with and how we want to present it.
Oh wow. So you were talking about spaces. So in other schools, would they be called classrooms?
Yeah, sort of. But
okay.
They're all different because they don't all have the same things in them. They're all themed about different things that might interest you. So there's lots of different ones and they've all got different names.
Wow. So what kind of spaces have you got in your...
we have Discovery and Exploration, and next door to that is the Peaceful Place, and just outside in the corridor is Discovery and Exploration, Creation's Destination, and in the hall is the main stage where you can act, and there's also the Great Outdoors.
Okay.
And we have hub classes as well, so in the morning before we actually go into master classes and project, we do still do stuff like literacy and maths, but we do them in our hub classes. So P5, 6, 7's hub class is Discovery and Exploration, and P3, 4's is
Peaceful Place.
Yeah, Peaceful Place.
Okay, so there's a mix, is that right?
Yeah. I think it's a good way of learning because there's lots of master classes and there's usually around about 3 every day except for Friday, and you get to pick what you want to do, and usually all of them are from teachers looking at pupils and seeing what they like doing and then putting that into a lesson.
The master classes are a 4-week block, so we don't just do it once and then just like get rid of it. We do it for like 4 weeks, so step by step, and slowly like gain the skill.
Ah, okay. So it sounds a lot like you get to choose what you learn and how you learn.
Yeah.
And also you talked about freedom to move between spaces.
Yeah.
So generally speaking, what do you think about the ways that children and young people learn best?
I think it's when you get to choose what you want to do with your passions and interests, and what takes like your interest and possibly like what you want as your future, try and get as your future job career.
Mm-hmm.
And it can give you experience for like high school, or in the future you could need some of the skills that these teach you.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it helps when you're actually interested in it, because otherwise you just get bored easily.
Yeah.
It helps like when you're interested in it, but each of these spaces have a theme.
Uh-huh.
So the main stage is based on like music and drama, and like plays if you're interested in that. Creation Station is like based on your creativity and art.
Mm-hmm.
Discovery and Exploration is based all about like science and like what different scientific studies you're wanting to do, and the Great Outdoors is just outdoors, and the Peaceful Place is like relaxing and
Doing your work in peace and stuff.
And in here is more like, it's not really a space, but Miss Ferguson have designed it to be quite calming.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you get like a bit angry or like you're kind of struggling, you can just come in here for 5-10 minutes and just like cool down, and then go back to the spaces and do your work.
Okay. So what I've noticed when I was walking around was that you guys are moving between the spaces without adults. You don't have to tell anybody where you're going. So here's the thing. As I'm a teacher, and I would be worried that you wouldn't be doing your work if I couldn't see what you were doing.
If you're worried, all you've got to do is probably just check on them and say like, where you going,
Mm-hmm.
what you do, like you trying to like, and when you're walking around the spaces, it's alright, like, because you can just, and it is really good, like, someone said, I forgot who said, but like that you can just walk from space to space.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you need a pencil, you can just go up here, come back.
So it's-
Our school's quite a lot about trusting that the students actually, the teachers trust the students, and I think they sometimes, if they do notice that you're not working, then they will keep an eye on you. But but what they want to do is they want to be able to trust that you're able to do it by yourself without them needing to tell you that you need to go back and get back to
Yeah,
work.
related to what I was saying, if you're a bit stuck and if you're a bit stuck and you don't know what you're doing, then a teacher can come along and they won't shout at you and say, why aren't you doing this, why aren't you doing that? They'll just come over there and say, so what are you supposed to be doing? And then you can tell them what you're supposed to be doing, and they can help you do it
Okay.
better.
So how do we adults need to change, or how can we support you best and not just the adults in your school, but thinking more widely, what do we need to do to be able to support you to learn?
So we have this thing called an expert network, just opposite that, and it has a lot of like parents, pupils and staff and other people in the wider community.
Yeah.
And if we're like stuck on something or we're doing a project, we can get school to email them to arrange for support, because on the expert network it has their name and it has like the list of things that they do and like their hobbies. So if you're stuck on something, you go out, and if you see someone that you'd think, I quite want to get in touch with them, then you'd go and tell the teacher and they'd try and email them to arrange for support.
Okay,
or even a student, because students and teachers in the school are on there, not just the wider community. So if you are stuck on something, you could go to there and say you're having a digital problem, you could look up there and look down. We haven't got all the students yet. I think it's me, Maris and Isla at the moment. That you can look up there and see if there's any teachers or students that have that skill that you might need to, like, if you had a digital problem, you could ask like Miss Brown E, who's up there, and and one of her skills is IT.
Okay.
So she could come and help you.
I think that adults to support children, they need to believe that children actually want to learn, because I've met some adults who all think that children just hate school and they don't like school and they skip school if they ever got the chance. But I'm not sure most children are like that. Some might be, but I think I think adults have got to believe that we really want to learn.
Okay, that's important, I think, and I think you're totally right. So it sounds to me like you have your voice heard in a load of ways here. Can you give me some examples about how you get a say in what's happening in the school, and are there ways that it could be even better for you?
So we have a community meeting every Monday in the afternoon just after lunch, and so it's led by the two head pupils, that would be Maris and Callum, and they make an agenda for it, and they bring up like some issues that need to be discussed, but not always it's issues. Sometimes it's positives, because we do wider achievements, where that is every class. We come round every Friday and we ask, who has had this achievement, and then we will say that on the Monday at the community meeting, and then they will give them applause because they've done something either in or out of school that they're very proud of. But a wider achievement is something that you've never done before and you've challenged yourself. And also at the meeting, you always have your voice heard, because they always take questions and ask. And some of the P7s have been, all of them have been at a parent council meeting, and they've all been talking the further education and how they can raise funds, and we all had a voice heard in that.
Wow, okay.
And there's also in our team there's a assembly space, and in one of the channels there's a complaint/suggestion box, so you can just type anything in there, and the pupil leadership look at it every week, and we write down it and all that.
And we don't only get a voice heard to help with the problems. There's a board up at the top where you can write down problems that you think should be sorted out, and then they'll be raised, and then you can help. And if you had a suggestion that you thought should be used, then you can just put your hand up and they'll come to you then.
We also to make if the pupils, not just me and Mars, if the pupils see something that they want to discuss at the community meeting, down just by the main stage we've got a thing, a board, and one piece of paper says issues to discuss.
Yeah.
So if you have anything, you can just write it on that. Another is like if they want to run an offering.
Okay.
So an offering is like when either people come in or it's run by a pupil or staff on like.
Or masterclass.
We can't run master classes. It's only
But
teachers.
teachers can help you run masterclasses.
No.
Nico did a masterclass on chess.
Yeah, it's an
That was an
offering.
offering.
So yeah, for the offering, it's like we have the choice between 3, and then you sign up for the one that inspires you most.
Okay.
So yesterday it was Kaylee, board games, and how to draw.
Wow, okay.
So it's like a mix and a different variety of different subjects.
That's really, it sounds really interesting. And it really sounds like you're in control of your learning and you're in control of your space here. Does it feel like that for you?
Yeah,
very much.
definitely.
Okay. So you've told me loads about what's happening in your space and you've really clearly articulated the benefits of that, and I can see it from talking to you because you're really clear about what it means to you and you're clear about your learning. So if there's one thing that you would like to say to all of the teachers in Scotland and all of the people who are in charge of education, what would you say to them?
I would personally say to them that they should probably give the agile approach a very big try and trial it out for even just a week or 2 weeks or even a day, because it gives children more freedom of their learning and what they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also that case of like your sense making, because you need to have time for yourself
Mm-hmm.
because if you spend all your time on project, you won't have learned any maths or literacy. So
Okay.
I would say the agile approach is a lot better than daily diary, and it makes the children a lot more creative and thoughtful.
I would say that probably what you should do is listen to the children, because if you listen to them, you could even find out that they have that what you've been doing, they've been finding it a little bit boring, and if you do the agile approach, they'll find school a lot more interesting and they'll want to come to it a bit more as well. And I think that's good because children should enjoy what they're doing.
And also I think they should take on the agile approach because every day is not the same. Every day is like unique, and it also makes the child want to learn, which is the best, and it makes them want to go up to the academy and be like the best and do their career.
Wow.
I think the agile approach is good because you get to do mostly whatever you want. Like you get to learn a lot of things that you didn't already know, or even subjects that you didn't know were subjects.
Mm-hmm.
And you can get to learn them, and even from if you came to school, if you were 5 and you didn't know like engineering was a career, there could be an engineering master class in that, and you could keep going to that, or you could ask the teacher to keep that on, and then you could take that as a career, and just from the age of 5 onwards you could find out something and use it as a career.
Wow.
Have your lights like set out in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
Like the options,
Yeah.
possibilities.
I would say with the agile approach, I think that it's really good how like even what we done is we had like a project to make the spaces on our own, not just keep like the classrooms or spaces the same. Like we fully made discovery and exploration different from what it was, and I think that I think what happens is because we've been doing agile approach a lot longer, after you've done it for like maybe 5 months, you forget like how old learning was, or how like the classrooms were set out, and how the projects were. And I think it's a much better way to just get everyone ready for like high school, because with high school you need to walk a lot.
Yeah, that's true.
So with high school you need to walk a lot with that, and when you can just move from space to space, which is also what you do in high school, it gets in your head, and then you know exactly where you've got to go for that maths class.
Yeah, brilliant.
I like it because almost the whole school's changed except P1, 2, but they're doing a similar thing to this, I think.
Yeah.
And say Discovery and say Creation Station, the bit where the taps are, that used to just be taps. There didn't used to be any drawers there, just the printer and the taps and a few cupboards that you could get things out of. But now there's tables, and you can do lots of learning there, and there's so many other things that there weren't before, and I can't even remember how it used to be.
Okay, so I am really impressed with the way you've been talking about your learning. It's been brilliant to hear about everything. Thank you very much. As part of this podcast series, everybody who's on the podcast gets to choose a song that's going to go on a playlist. So you guys all get to choose one song that you'd like to have on a playlist to inspire people. You can each choose a song.
Oh, actually, to inspire people, I think a good one just to like when you wake up, because hey, everyone can choose a song.
Yeah.
So I think a good song to listen to like when you wake up on maybe a weekend, a good song to listen to is Happy.
The Pharrell Williams?
Yeah.
Okay, super. So Happy by Pharrell Williams.
I think High Hopes. I can't remember who it's by, but
Panic at the Disco.
Yes.
I think it's Michael Bublé. It's a Beautiful Day.
Yeah.
I forgot. I think Michael Bublé. Oh, what was it called? I'm Feeling Good.
Amazing.
I can't think of the name of it.
It's the one that we sing in choir all the time. Misogyny's favourite.
Oh,
It's Victoria
Justice.
Victoria
Make It Shine.
Make It Shine by Victoria Justice.
Amazing.
Do you know who it's by?
No.
Can you hum it?
Can you hum it?
I know it's from the movie Trolls, but I can't remember what
Is
it is.
it Justin Timberlake? Oh,
Can't Stop the Feeling.
Can't Stop the
Yeah.
Feeling. Yeah.
Nice, that's a great one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Jeez, I was not expecting these, but you've each chosen total stonkers. I'm going to put them on from my bike ride home. Can't Stop the Feeling. Amazing. Thank you so much for talking to me. It's been brilliant, and I've really appreciated your time. Thank you very much. What really strikes me listening back to the conversation that I had with those young people is their absolute eloquence and the way that they are so keen to share and talk about and understand their own learning. I think Isla said it beautifully when she was saying, when I asked her what she wants adults to know, and it was that we just need to believe that children want to learn. And for me, I think I found some of it quite challenging, because although I'm really keen to push forward and to think about how best to meet the needs of learners in the best way possible, there's a tension for me internally around about, but how will I know that they'll do what I need them to do? And so I think I need to unpick that a little bit, and I think that's where the tension lies, that as teachers and educators, we feel as though we have to be in control of the agenda. We feel as though if the children and young people in front of us aren't carrying out tasks that we've set, that we can't then know that they're learning or that they're developing their knowledge and skills. But very clearly, these young people were able to articulate that actually when we reconceptualise the role of the adult, when we start looking at education as sense-making, and I thought that was incredible, one of the young people brought that up, sense-making, looking at the questions that are really inspiring and motivating to individuals, but also balancing that with the understanding that there are things that adults have to be able to get us to explore as learners, or get them to explore as learners. That kind of duality is really interesting, and I think that's one of the places that we would need to start when we're thinking about moving our pedagogy forward, is really unpicking those beliefs about what it is to be a good, successful educator and teacher, and what that means that we believe about the capacities of the young children in front of us and the young people in front of us. So they were so articulate, it was fabulous. Their pride and motivation for their own work was just brilliant, and honestly, walking around, there were children moving freely across all spaces, but they were purposeful, and it was so calm across the space. It was such a lovely place to be. And the other thing I think that was really stark for me is that because children were able to make choices about their own learning and about what they needed at that particular moment in time, it wasn't the case where you could walk in and see where specific adaptations have had to be made for people who are neurodivergent or who have specific needs. There was just this fabulous atmosphere and environment where people were able to meet their own needs, and so nobody stood out. And that was really that made a big impression on me. And particularly when I think about the experiences and some of the distressed behaviours that we see and some of the struggles with regulation, if we take away some of those expectations that we think have to be there in order for learning to take place, actually, I wonder whether that might start to give children and young people more energy and more capacity to regulate themselves, but also just to drive themselves and make themselves feel in a place to learn. So absolutely a lot of stuff to think about there, and once again, my sincere thanks to the young people of Torphichen Primary for welcoming me and sharing their thoughts. As always, please do tweet any thoughts you have at #ESPedagogyPodcast. If there are other things that you would like us to explore, let us know. And thank you very much for listening. Bye-bye.